Well, my name is Patty Fitzmaurice, and I am here at Missouri Baptist Hospital today because of my husband, David Fitzmaurice, who contacted COVID back in August. August the 13th actually was the date of our first symptoms, both David and I. I thought it was just allergies. I started with a sore throat, and I went and took my temperature. I had no temperature, so I was pretty sure it was just allergies, and went back to my work desk at home, and about that time body aches kind of started. And I thought, well, we'd been out kayaking the day before with some friends, and I thought, I probably used some muscles I hadn't used for a while. So I kind of chalked it up to sore muscles, so just continued working. And later that morning, my husband called. He had gone on to work, and he called and said, Patty, I'm not feeling very good today. And at that time, something just clicked, and I was pretty sure we probably both had COVID. So he came home, and his symptoms just hit him right off the bat.
So I called her, and it was like 2 a.m., and that's when she told me my father, David, had 104 fever and had just got sick the day before. So it kind of just, hit him all at once. That was kind of that was when I first found out he actually had got sick with the virus.
Ended up in the IC or in the emergency room in Potosi. At that time, they were not really doing any specific drugs or anything that we could take. So basically, they just gave him some fluids and said, if your breathing starts getting rapid or bad, you need to come back. So we went home. And as the week progressed, his symptoms just kept getting worse and worse. I called the EMTs a couple times to come out and check his oxygen levels. The health department had indicated that I had mentioned that David was sleeping a lot, and I figured that was probably good to sleep. But they said, no, you need to check his oxygen levels, make sure they're within the right levels. So they came out a couple times, checked his oxygen. Both times, oxygen levels were good. So we just kept, monitoring him, making sure that, I was trying to keep him hydrated, trying to keep him fed, keep his energy up. And by Friday, he actually made the comment. He said, Patty, I think I'm going to beat this stuff.
He's feeling better. His energy's back. He's starting to eat again. I was like, oh, great. He was sick. It was a week and a half, but it sounds like he's getting better. So he's going to kind of shrug it off. And then that Friday night is when he developed respiratory failure.
They rolled up a gurney up the back sidewalk, and David put David on the gurney, and off he went.
We did get him on a stretcher and put him in the ambulance, and we continued to treat him on the way into the hospital, but the whole time he didn't really respond well. His condition was declining. We got him into the hospital, and that's where they evaluated him and continued his care.
One of our ambulances took care of him on the emergency side of things, so a call to 911 was made, and Brian Buckley took care of him, and he was transported to the local hospital where his condition was evaluated, and then he decompensated to the point that he required to be intubated, so a breathing tube put directly into his trachea to ventilate his lungs, and then we arranged for transport to an ICU in the city. At that point in time, the bed status for ICU beds was not good. So we had some lead time knowing that he was very sick and he was going to need extra hands to take care of him while we were awaiting a bed assignment. And that took a matter of a couple of hours to find him a home. And that was ultimately DePaul. So once a home was found, we assembled our team and then took over care for Pastor David at our local hospital, got him stabilized. He was in very critical condition. His oxygen levels were extremely low, even on the ventilator. And so we got him very comfortable. This is an uncomfortable process, very uncomfortable for people to be on a ventilator. And so we gave him lots of medicines to make him go to sleep, to relieve his pain. And then ultimately, his lungs were not syncing with the ventilator, and he was difficult to oxygenate, so we had to paralyze him so that we could take over complete control of his lungs to get his oxygen levels up. And once that happened, we were able to get him stabilized enough to move him from Washington County Hospital to DePaul.
When he showed up to the ICU in St. Louis, his numbers were terrible. His blood gas numbers were like not kind of like survivable numbers.
He was basically on the highest settings you could have, the highest pressures, 100% oxygen, and it was bad. It was really, really bad.
And the ICU doctors, started, doing everything they could to save David's life. At that time, I got on Facebook and just put out the word, we need to pray for David. David's very, very sick. I was getting so inundated with calls and texts and from everyone across every church that David's been a part of. I just couldn't keep up with the amount of contact anymore, so I talked to David's administrative assistant, Candace, at that time, and she said, why don't we just go ahead and we'll put updates on the Facebook page of the Belgrade United Methodist Church? And I said, yes, absolutely, we need to do that.
We started to update everyone on David's condition and how he was doing, so it's been very helpful to have our Facebook page to reach out to people. Of course, Patty and David have a lot of friends. He's pastored at a lot of churches, so they know a lot of people. And so it's been a good way to reach out and let people know how he's doing. Also, Patty, there would be times that he just was not doing good at all, and she needed prayer.
So I would send an update, trying to give the latest update so people would know exactly what to pray for. Candace would put it out.
It's absolutely amazing to see the people that have commented on it, that they're praying for him. So it has just been a wonderful way to reach out to people.
That's how we kept everybody updated as best as we could. Things were not looking very good. Till about a week and a half after David was in the ICU, I got a call at the house, and it was from one of the medical people up there saying that they had taken David off the ventilator, and I was ecstatic. I was just so thankful, thanking God, thanking, for everybody for praying for him, because I knew he was just so sick. And I was so thankful. I put the word out. I said, David's off the ventilator. Just so excited. And the very next day, I got another call from DePaul, and they put David back on the vent.
Called or texted and said, hey, they had to put the vent back in. And she was kind of in shock. He had gotten pneumonia, which was the got him the setback, and and then he was back at, high pressures, 100% oxygen.
And it just set him back to square one. So we put the word out again, David needs prayers.
He has what's called acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, from the coronavirus. So they started doing management of that, which is this method called proning people, where they lay them on their stomach, and then they give them a medication that blocks the muscles from firing. It's called a neuromuscular blockade. He did that, and I don't know, maybe like 7 days into that, he started to get better. And I was like, oh man, like he actually looks like he's going to turn it around. And his numbers in about 7 to 10 days, by I think it was like, I'd have to look up the exact numbers, but maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks into it, he actually looked like he was going to get better. And he got extubated. And I was like, man, I can't believe it. He kind of like survived that.
The doctor who had taken David off the ventilator said, we're going to go ahead and put a trach in. So at that time they put a trach in. About the same time, David got sepsis, and so his kidneys shut down. They had to put in a central line for dialysis, and there were some issues with that.
They had put a catheter in or something in his leg, and he had gotten a bleed from that, which got infected. You guys were going to the hospital like every single day.
You know, every day it was just, you know, up and down, and if it hadn't been for the prayers, for the family of God, I really don't know if I could have even gotten out of bed some days. About that time, we were notified that David basically had 24 to 48 hours, and David's body would tell us what he was going to do. So at that time, I put the word out, and I think everybody just started praying as hard as they could at that time. So after 48 hours, David rallied. He fought every day. He fought to stay alive, and just the power of prayer is what brought David back to us.
Cleaning ladies would come in and they would say a prayer over him, and they would sing to him, and we put all of the cards up on the walls from like all of the people from his churches.
He went to a facility, it's called an LTAC, where their specialty is to get people off of the ventilator. And so he went there, and he was there for about 24 days, and he never woke up.
Like a month, he was completely unconscious. And I asked them to transfer him to St. Louis University to get a neurology consult.
And so he was transported over there. He had the MRI, we did the EEG, and everything came out fine. No brain damage, no nothing. And by about the first day David was there, actually about the second day he was there, he started opening his eyes. And we got a text from my son Silas saying, "Mom, Dad's looking at me. He's focusing right in on me." So we were getting pretty excited, thinking, okay, he's starting to wake up. By the second day, Silas was up there, and he texted us, and he said he's moving his lips. He's trying to talk. Now we're getting very excited. And the third day, Silas went into his room.
He was face kind of towards the window, and I walked by, and I said, "Hey, Dad, it's Silas." And I remember he kind of looked at me, and he mouthed my name. He said, "Hi, Silas," like he was, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's someone there that I know.
Every day we walked into David's room, we prayed, "Let this be the day, Lord. Let this be the day David wakes up." And the Lord answered our prayer that day.
That day, I could finally hear something. I was unconscious the rest of the time, and I thought I heard my son Silas say, "Oh, I wish I could talk to my dad one more time." And by that time, I'd woken up. I looked at him and said, "Hey, Si, what you doing?" And the whole room went crazy, and they, "It's a miracle, it's a miracle, it's a miracle."
While he was at SLU Hospital, he woke up. He got off of dialysis. His kidneys started working again, and they got him off the ventilator. He still had the trach, so he went back to the LTAC, and that's where they were able to get the trach out. And that was a big day. He started breathing oxygen, still quite a bit of oxygen, but it was not from the vent, not through a trach. It was on his own. So it was a good day, very, very good day. David, at that point in time, he had been on the ventilator 86 days. He'd been in the hospital from August the 22nd up through December.
Have a good day. Love you, Grandpa.
And we've been hoping he could go to a rehab facility, but he was just too weak and deconditioned. So he ended up having to go to a skilled nursing facility. He was there for right at Christmas, basically.
And that was probably the hardest part because I had been able to get in to see David at all the other facilities, but I wasn't able to get into the skilled nursing facility. So I would go up every day and I'd stand outside his window.
I felt so bad for her when we were down home and she couldn't get in to see me. So she would go stand out my window and wave to me. We'd try to talk on our phone. That wasn't always successful. We did our best.
Some days I couldn't quite understand what he was saying. Other days, it was just pouring rain. I needed David to know I was there, no matter what. He needed to know I was there.
She's constantly fighting for him to be able to stay in the best place to get his care.
Yeah, so it's just been a struggle for her, for sure. I don't know how she's doing it with a full-time job, but she's just on the phone all the time, making sure he's fighting to try to get the best care.
Then he ended up here at Missouri Baptist. He had gotten a UTI and he had got pneumonia again. So he's been here at Missouri Baptist. They have been phenomenal. We have been so happy with the care here.
He's been getting stronger since then. So he started to feed himself, started to do a little bit more of activities of daily living, things, like shave himself and,
He is doing physical therapy. Yeah, now squeeze your fist. Squeeze your fist. Yeah, hold it in. Hold it. Good job, David. You're doing great. Now we'll work on the other side later. One side at a time, right? He's doing speech therapy. He's doing occupational therapy. This is David's 6th facility that he has been in. Each time, he starts making some really, really good gains, then he has to get moved to a different facility. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns for David is about the time he gets used to a certain facility, then he gets moved on. We're hoping and praying that the next facility will be his last stop before he can come home. That is our prayer.
The goal right now is to get him into an acute rehab facility, is where they work with these people. That's their whole mission at these facilities is OT, PT, getting you walking up and, put on clothes and brushing your teeth and just getting back to normal life.
Little things. He told me the other day, he said, Patty, I just don't feel like I'm making any headway. And I had a really good friend, and she told me in the very, very beginning, she said, Patty, you need to take pictures. And I said, I can't take pictures. I don't want to remember this. I don't even want this to be part of my memory. She goes, no, Patty. She said, there will come a day when David says, I'm not getting any better. And you're going to be able to go back and you're going to be able to pull up one of those pictures and you're going to show David how far he has come. And he uttered those words on December 2nd. I'll never forget. He looked at me with tears in his eyes and he said, Patty, I'm not getting any better. I said, David, hold on for just one moment. And I scanned through all my pictures and I went back to October the 2nd, where he was laying in a bed, non-responsive, on the ventilator, on dialysis. And I showed him that picture and it was like, he had no clue. He had no idea. I've asked him, I said, David, what do you remember? What's your last memory? He said, my last memory is getting into the ambulance. That's my last memory. It was October 31st, and I told him, I was up there at the hospital with him. I told him, I said, David, it's Halloween today. And he just, like, this puzzled look came over his face, like, it was August. How can it be October the 31st? I would never have guessed back on August the 13th when we tested positive for COVID, that we would still be dealing with COVID today. And if there's anything I could say to anybody out there is, COVID is real. I've seen too many people in the ICU on ventilators. I've seen too many people not getting well. I've had too many friends not making it. And this stuff is real. We need to take it serious. The mask, I just totally believe that if that's the simplest thing I can do, is to wear a mask for my fellow human beings, my neighbor, I will wear a mask. I will absolutely be the first one in line to get the vaccination.
I just want to send you a little reach out to everyone. I've been recuperating in the hospital for a while, and I hope I get better soon.
During this time, my dad was in the nursing home back home. COVID swept through that nursing home. My dad ended up getting COVID. He survived COVID. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. But it's been a very, very difficult time for all of us. If it wasn't for my family, my kids, it just would have been a very difficult road to travel by yourself. And Belgrade United Methodist Church, the Minden United Methodist Church, the Sumner United Methodist Church, the Gallatin United Methodist Church, the Higginsville United Methodist Church, Joplin, Higginsville, St. Charles, Butler, and Belgrade. I have heard from every one of those churches supporting us with their love, their cards. I still have stacks of cards that I still need to go through and open and go through with David. I'm just waiting for the day we can sit down and read each one of those cards. It's been overwhelming. When I was in isolation, I'd get a call. Patty, what do you need? I'm good. I'm fine. I don't need anything. And the doorbell would ring, and there'd be a sack of groceries. I needed a new thermometer. I got a new thermometer. They ran out and got me a thermometer. Simple little things, but I couldn't get out to get. They have sent baskets to some of the different facilities that David's been at, care baskets.
Yeah, his church, the church that they're at right now is fantastic. They're really taking care of my parents. Like right now, that church, they've made a huge difference.
I've met some wonderful people, wonderful Christians, and the staffs of the hospital are remarkable. And we're so thankful for them. We're also thankful for all our friends and loved ones who have been praying for us. You've done a tremendous job at keeping us in your thoughts and prayers. And I just thank you for all that love and concern.
We are just so thankful for the healthcare professionals. I asked one gal the other day, I said, how do you do this day after day? And she said, you know, it's what we do. She said, but today I woke up and I just was tired. I was tired. I came in today and to see where he is after being on a ventilator for 86 days, she said that just renewed my faith. It renewed my hope. That's exactly what I needed today. And we asked her, said, can we pray with you? She said, absolutely. So David prayed for her. And we pray every single day for the medical professionals who are putting their life on the line for our loved ones, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute.
There are thousands and thousands of people out there going through this. And they're all looking for hope. They're looking for cures. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for some frame of reference that they can put this in so that it makes sense in their world. It is my hope and prayer that the example of David and Patty and the Belgrade United Methodist Church will be a source of encouragement and hope for those who are looking for it. Patty told me 4 different times the doctors gave up hope on David. 4 times. There were times when Patty and her adult sons had to have some hard conversations. You know, do we quit fighting this? Do we just simply make David comfortable? And they were prepared to do that if they felt that there was no other alternative. But in their case, they had reason to believe, and again, I can't prove this, but I think the prayer support gave them some wisdom and guidance that they might not have had otherwise. And they hung in there with it. And it appears now that those prayers have been answered. You know, David is still not a well man by any means, but he's sitting up, he's talking, he's smiling, he's David again.
We want him to come home. I want David to come home. His church wants him to come home. His family wants him to come home. And I know David can do it. He is stubborn, he is strong, he's bullheaded, and he doesn't like me all the time because he told me just 10 minutes ago before I left, he said, I'm going to change rooms so you don't know where I am when you get back, because I know we're going to have to do more exercises when you get back. And I'm like, you're right, I'll be back. And so you better get some rest. This is David's 9th hospital that he has been in since August 22nd, 2020. He is currently in the swing bed program where he is receiving aggressive physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. David, this is a first. On my birthday. Today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
This is my birthday present, David. I am not giving up on you, David Fitzmaurice, and you're not giving up on yourself. And that's my story.